So I haven't talked about a Sonic fan game in a while, so I thought I should do that. Every time I do this, I get really nervous. But, you know, I don't want to, like step on anyone's toes. Because, you know, fan games are fan games. And you have to make sure that you're judging them based on the fact that they're a fan game. And not like a professional multi-million-dollar game. There's two very different things here. We're going to talk about Sonic Omens, which is a thing that has been thrown in front of my face repeatedly. Because everyone's like, it looks amazing. And I'm like, yeah, but how does it play? This is important. Like, nobody tells me this kind of stuff. Nobody talks to me about that kind of thing. It's just like, but it looks like it was really made by Sega, and yes, but does it play like it was really made by Sega? Because this is really important. And what era Sega are we talking about? I need to know these things before, you know, we go forward. Anyway, so I downloaded the game for myself because naturally I couldn't make a video about it without actually playing it. And one of the cool things about Sonic Omens, I think, is that the creators decided to release it in episodes. So they complete one episode, you know, and then they release that. And like, here you go, this is a completed, isolated thing. And then they do the next one and the next one until they have a complete game. And I think that's a really cool way to do it, especially on a budget kind of situation, or rather a lack of budget, because, you know, as, you know, fan developers that are making a fan game, they don't really have the kind of resources that a professional studio would have. So releasing it in chunks like that actually takes really well to their development style, which is, we do it when we can, and other times we're outside working somewhere else, maybe, I don't know, maybe they're doing it full time, I don't know, whatever they do, whatever they feel like doing it. Also, I like how the team, their name, like, and I can't even get, I'm not upset because, like, this is a mythology thing, you know, that I took, but I just laughed when I saw the team name is Ouroboros, because, like, there's an Ouroboros in my recent novels, the Order of Ouroboros, that, like, and, no, I mean, I got that name from, frickin', Norse mythology, that's the word I'm looking for. So, you know, it's not like I own the rights to that, I just thought it was funny that there was that similarity, also that, you know, segues into me having books and you liking this video and subscribing and doing all that stuff. Right now, there's a bunch of links down there, you can follow me on Twitter, or, you know, just subscribe and hit the bell so you see future videos, and that would make me smile. Is that what you want? Okay, so anyway, the game. Episodic, and yes, let's start with the visuals. It looks gorgeous. Without question, Sonic Omens is one of the best looking 3D Sonic fan games I've ever seen in my life. It does look like a game that was released in the modern era for modern platforms made by Sega in terms of its visuals. It has such a good look to it. Now, when I was playing it, I did notice it suffered some frame rate dips, but that could be my settings and the fact that I was recording and streaming at the same time. So, if you see any of those skips in the footage, I don't want it to, like, spoil the game. I just want the developers to know that they happened. So if there's some kind of memory overload or something that's happening that maybe they could streamline it, I don't know the mechanics behind it. I'm just saying those are things that occurred that don't necessarily happen with other games when I do that. But again, you know, it's not even really finished, and it's just, you know, it's a minor thing. I don't consider that a big deal, because for the most part, when the game was running smoothly, it was running great, and again, it looks incredible. Like, they did a tremendous amount of work with the style and the visuals and the music. Oh my goodness, the music is just volcanic, like full tilt. Like it's both. It's two different styles, because you get like these weird, peaceful, somber, relaxing tones in the slower pace levels, but then you also get like hardcore, full tilt, like metal dubstep, like a mix of electronic madness. Like it's. I thought it was awesome. The music I thought was great. So no complaints there. Now, as for actually playing the game, which is my big issue when it comes to these kinds of things, where people are like, it looks great. Like, yeah, but how does it play? So I played it, all right. So I started the first level, and I was already really impressed with the cutscene and the voice acting, at least in the first scene. There's some hiccups with the voice acting in general, but I'm gonna talk about that a little bit later. But the first scene I was pretty impressed with. I was also completely thrown off by the fact that there's a freaking, Chip's ring that Sonic uses as a grappling hook during the game. I thought that was a really cool nod to Unleashed. Although when I first saw it, I thought it was a Klonoa reference, because Klonoa has a similar ring. The only one who thought that? I completely forgot about Chip's ring. Like, I completely blanked on that because it's been so long since I played Unleashed. But still, like, there's a ton of references, like, to the canon of Sonic to things that we've seen before. And I really like this idea because it feels like every time Sega makes a new Sonic game now, they try to, like, avoid referencing older things in the series. Like, you do realize this is all in the same universe, you can do that, but the fans did, and I really like that. So the first level starts, and I'm like, oh cool, alright, it's kind of like Green Hill Zone, but it's not, it's got this real somber, relaxing tone, it's a tutorial level, and I started my first, up the first loop, and I hit an invisible wall. Upon getting around the loop, I was playing the level, having a good time. I got a little turned around, but the camera work is pretty good, actually. I was surprised by that, and I was really impressed with the controls. And then I faced through a wall. Why does this have to happen to me? Why do I always find myself here? I don't try to do this to people. I don't like to poke holes in someone's hard work. I really don't like to be that guy, okay? It's not actually a fun position to be in for me. This is hard because I had a lot of fun playing this game, okay? And we're gonna start there. There are definitely some, shall I say, issues that need to be worked out when it comes to the game itself. I would say that it needs some, a little more time in the coding oven. Some little kinks here and there that happen on occasion. It's nothing that breaks the game. And I want to stress this. I didn't fall through the floor. The game never froze. It was nothing like that. And when the game is running well, oh my goodness, the game is a ton of fun. And in fact, I think from a mechanics perspective, again, when no hiccups are happening, it's actually better than the Sega version of these kind of mechanics, because you look at it and you say it looks like Unleashed or Forces or Colors or any of the, more modern speed-like Sonic games. However, Omens has a big difference that I love, which is, okay, so when Sonic's running fast, it's a thing like Sonic Unleashed, he controls pretty well. Like, you have the sidestep, you have all that, and they have that in Omens too. However, when Sonic is not running fast, how does he control? See, in Unleashed and Colors, and really any of them, unless you're playing as classic Sonic, I always thought that the slow mechanics in those games were a little clunky. Like, it felt almost, I don't want to say sticky, but stiff. Like, it was hard to be precise with your jumps. It felt like everything was on kind of a delay. And every time I moved Sonic, it felt like he just wanted to take off and, run really fast, which I know, that's what you're supposed to do. But when you add platforming elements into a game like this, you need to be able to control the character well when he's slow, as well as when he's fast. And I thought the older Sonic games, the classic ones, were great at this, because, you could run fast, but also when he was slow, he controlled really well. There was no problem there. And it feels like the modern Unleashed formula doesn't do a great job of making Sonic control as good as he should when he's not moving at Mach 3. But Omens has corrected this. Sonic controls extremely well when he's slow. Like, he controls just as well moving slow as he does when he's moving fast. And this is so imperative, and Sega needs to be taking notes or something, because I thought this was amazing. The fact that I'm able to do this really does make the game way more fun to play. And I had a terrific time with it. Being able to run on water, having an O2 meter is nice so I know when I'm running out of air, thank you for that. All kinds of subtle nods and references, characters that aren't necessarily in the story, but appear as little nods to them, like Knuckles and Big were there. Amy calls Sonic once and yells because he forgot their date, that was hilarious. There's so much charm in this game. And I really liked that. I'm not gonna judge the story too hard, although admittedly, part of me doesn't really like where it's going exactly, but because it's not done yet, I'm like, but I don't really know exactly what's happening either. So, what am I supposed to say? At this point, Eggman's up to something. He hasn't really said too much in the story yet, and Gun is up to something. And there's another bad guy who's doing something. Look, I got nothing. we're 4 episodes in, and I'm not really sure exactly what's going on yet, though I am intrigued, concerned, but intrigued, so I'm not going to say words about the story. And again, like I said, when the game is working well, it's working really well, and it's not just the speed mechanics that we have going here when it comes to Sonic, because they added additional playable characters, which is also something Sega apparently forgot they can do. You play as Tails controlling the Hyper Tornado, which is basically a jet fighter version of the tornado that I thought was really cool. Though admittedly, I kind of miss the charm of their classic, prop plane, biplane. I always liked that. But at the same time, the Hyper Tornado looks pretty awesome, and it hovers like a Harrier jump jet, and that is also neat. And it actually controlled really well when you played as it. You can fight a boss like this. Oh, speaking of the bosses, they're large and intimidating and actually kind of tough, and I like the cinematic feel. It kind of took a page out of Force's handbook, so I thought one of the good things about Force's was it added a lot of cinematic stuff, like there's a lot of set pieces with like things falling and things like that. And they didn't do as good of a job as they could have done in Force's to flesh that kind of thing out, because I thought it was awesome. And here, it seems the game is built around the idea of having these large set pieces and interactive environments and things changing around you, things falling around you and things like that, to make you more immersed in the world and make things feel more, shall we say, urgent. Which is good to feel urgent in a Sonic game. Things want to move fast. Also, you can play as Shadow, the ultimate edgelord. And, from a gameplay perspective, Shadow was awesome to play as. Because they did something in this game that I still cannot believe Sega has never done, even in their own Shadow the Hedgehog game, where they're like, oh, just give him guns. That's fine, just give him guns, it's totally okay. No. They didn't give him a gun in this game. Instead, they let you, and follow me on this, use his Chaos powers in combat. And I don't mean just Chaos Control and Chaos Blast, so there's 2 of them. He has 2 more. Chaos Dash, which lets you dash quickly in another direction, kind of like Chaos Control sort of does, but different mechanics. And Chaos Spear, which you can use to attack your enemies with. Yes, the Chaos Spear existed in 06, but it was useless. Like, here it actually does something, and you can switch between which one you're using by using the D-pad, which is something that's been explored in plenty of other games, and I love this idea that Shadow feels more distinctive in his gameplay style because he has these unique powers as the ultimate life form. It was a ton of fun to play as Shadow, being able to utilize his abilities, as well as the typical boost mechanics like you would get out of Sonic. Making these 2 characters feel a little bit different, I think, is important nowadays because you can no longer do the whole rival shtick like you had in Sonic Adventure 2. Now, when you play as them differently, you don't want them to just be carbon copies of each other. You want a little bit of a different feel, and they managed to do that by using common sense and just giving Shadow his abilities to use as you see fit. There's a separate meter entirely from the boost meter, so you can, charge them up while still being able to boost and not having to worry about. It's brilliant, and I love the idea. I love the concept. I thought it was great. And now that I, praised the game heavily, what do we have to say that's bad about it, Darkness? Because I know what you're about to do, and I know what you're like, and you're gonna make this developer cry, aren't you? Well, I'm gonna try to avoid that, but I do think it's important to look at this game objectively, because as developers, a logical developer would want to hear about flaws in the mechanics, like I mentioned with the bugs I was running into, to try to make the game better, as good as they can. I know it's a fan game, so I'm not gonna tear it apart, but I want people to be aware that I ran into these issues. Where I'm gonna really get into the game from a specific standpoint is 2 things. Some of the voices, which may not be something they can fix, I get that, and some of the levels. These are the 2 big things that drove me crazy. The bugs, I know can be worked out, but in terms of bugs, I thought that, and this really killed me on a personal level, White Jungle was the worst for this. White Jungle is one of my favorite levels from SA2. The fact that they not only referenced the level name and design, but then did an awesome remix of the song from that level was like, I was so excited first playing it, and then I played the level. And I don't know what it was, but I ran into so many issues trying to get through this stage, whether it be invisible walls or jerky mechanics, or the camera, which never betrayed me at any other time, just not showing me where I was going. like, I don't know what kept happening. It was a weird experience for me because I wanted to like it so bad. I was trying so hard, but it feels like this level definitely needs some more work done into it. Needs some quality of life changes and just needs some ironing out in general. In addition, when it comes to levels, without mentioning bugs, actual level design, well, they got a little bit creative here with some of the levels. They're not just run to the end like you would expect. Some levels actually have a bit of a puzzling aspect where you have to find certain switches to get through them. And I thought this was an interesting idea because in a 3D game, you can do that. You know, it's not just a 2D run to the end. That gets dull. They wanted to mix it up by having levels where you actually kind of have to look around and jump around using the mechanics. And since the slow, you know, platforming elements here are much better when compared to the Sega games, that is a great concept. There's just one key issue here. All these levels are designed questionably. Like, the tree drove me nuts. I was so just done with with the tree. The tree just, look, when I fall, having to climb all the way back up, it was a nightmare every time I messed up. And some of those platforming segments were actually pretty difficult. It was a challenge. Not that that's a problem, but when it's so unforgiving when it comes to respecting my time, I feel like some design changes could be had here. The biggest thing I notice is that there is a mechanic in the game that will kill you if you fall a certain altitude. Like, even though you're falling to another level, it will just kill you after you know, hit a certain velocity or go a certain distance. That's how I kind of gathered it from what I played. The problem is that I think this is way too long. So it very rarely happens unless you force it to, and I actually wound up killing myself a lot because there are checkpoints on the tree. So the best strategy is to actually kill yourself and go back to the checkpoint, because like by the time you climb back up there, your time bonus is going to be so crap anyway, you're going to get a lower rank no matter what. So it really doesn't matter. So I feel like some work had to be done to at least make this level a little more forgiving. That's my only take on it. Otherwise, it was fine, and I like the idea of it, but I wasn't too wild about the execution. As for the other level like this, well, it's a shadow level, and it's a bit better because it's more open and, you know, go in, you know, from one direction to the other. You do have to hit switches, but I thought this was more well-designed from a mechanics perspective because you can kind of see more of what's going on, and there's no, you know, climbing mechanic where if you fall, like, you have to go all the way back up. That doesn't really happen here, because if you fall here, you just kind of die because the water's poisoned. So, okay, that's fine. So, I think this is more of a better execution of the idea of having to run around and hit switches. However, the one thing that drove me crazy about this level is the voice acting. So I don't want to talk too much and complain too much about the voice acting because I'm sure, you know, these guys probably didn't even pay these people. And frankly, some of the voices were great. Whoever's doing Sonic is phenomenal. No complaints. He sounds kind of like a mix between Griffith and Drummond. Like, he's very, very close to those two. So if that's the kind of voice you like in Sonic, he sounds great. Tails was good sometimes, but I think she needed to do a few retakes because there were a few lines she delivered where I could tell it was just an adult female. Like, you know, but other times, like, she sounded like Tails. So I think she just needs some more retakes, a little more direction to try to nail that Tails voice, but she was close enough that I was fine with it. Rouge sounded great. Amy was intentionally annoying, so I'll take that. Robotnik was a little awkward. I feel like he could do it, but I don't know. It's hard to tell. He hasn't talked enough for me to really gauge him that well, so I'm gonna let him slide on critiquing because what am I gonna say? He's close, but the only thing I could say is maybe do another retake. I don't know. Again, I don't know if they're even paying these people, so maybe they don't have room to judge. But the one who drove me crazy was Shadow. And it's the most frustrating thing for me because from a tone perspective, I actually really like him. He hits that low, edgy tone that Shadow is known for, that he is the ultimate life form. It all starts with this, a jewel containing the ultimate power. He sounds pretty good in terms of his voice. Like, it sounds like Shadow, except he has an accent. I don't know whether it's French or not. That's the closest I could think of, but I could tell that he had a serious accent, and it threw me off so bad every time Shadow spoke. It was the weirdest thing. Like, I don't, what? Like, Shadow doesn't have an accent. He doesn't, like, at least not that strong of one. I just couldn't get past it. it was so distracting. And I don't want to come down on anyone too hard, because I'm sure, like, I bet he did voices for the game in another language, and I bet in his language he sounded great. You know, because from a tonal perspective, he was fine. Totally serviceable Shadow. It's just his accent that was driving me nuts. Because, no, it'd be like if Sonic suddenly, like, sounded Scottish or something. It would just drive you crazy. You know what I mean? Again, I don't want to be mean about it. I'm just like, what? Can we, no, Okay, I just wanted to throw it out there, because if I didn't mention it, the entire stream, the whole time I was playing this game, would not stop talking about Shadow's voice. So I had to bring that up specifically. Okay, I'm sorry. It wasn't just me this time. Anyway, as a project, I'm pretty impressed with Sonic Omens. It definitely has some room to grow and some kinks to iron out, but I mean, it's hard to complain when they've delivered something this visually impressive, this audibly impressive, and something that, when it's functional, is arguably superior to some of the games we've gotten from Sega recently. I would say that this is a lot better than Unleashed was when it first came out, definitely, and is a strong contender for, you know, to beat Force's gameplay, which people are going to be like, well, Forces suck, which is funny, because I like Forces, but anyway, my point is that it's so solid from a 3D Sonic perspective. Like, I honestly think Sega should, like, hire these guys to use some of their code, because again, all you need to do is smooth out some of the bugs, iron out some of the mechanics, maybe change some of the level design. Like, we'll put the voice acting out of the picture because it's not a major issue. From a gameplay perspective, it's great, as long as you fix that kind of stuff. So, I would definitely give Sonic Omens a try. I would recommend it, especially if you're a Sonic fan looking for something new, because Lord knows Sega hasn't given us anything lately, so we might as well. And yeah, I'm pretty impressed with this, I gotta say. You know, I'm not gonna, like, pretend like it's this magical perfect thing, because it's not, but it's got room to be something more, something great, something truly awesome. And I wish these guys luck, because they have definitely put in work to make this what it is. So, till next time, this is Darkness, and I bid you all a fond farewell.